especially if I know the topic, it makes,
Right.
but I'll do it. I don't care. We went on a cruise years ago.
We are live.
Oh, hello. Well, welcome everybody to the workshop. We have only a couple things to do today, so I would like to focus initially on the two variances that we have in front of us, and then get a little straw poll, see how we feel generically moving into this. And then I would like to talk about 2 or 3 other basic things just to make sure that we're all on the same page. So with that said, the first one Tim has, which is your first one, so this is a big moment. Maybe give us a little background about what you've learned so far, and not complete, I don't want to know everything, but I want to know what they told you basically, and then give us a straw poll, what you feel.
Okay, not complete. Okay, so an expansion to the existing building is what is driving the need for more parking spaces. The request is to have a variance that allows them to keep 46 instead of the required 59. In site visit and speaking to both the son and the father, who are both owners of this company, which is Alpha Metalworks, this expansion is primarily for storage. So their staff, which is under 20, uses less than half of the current spaces. They're not adding staff, they're not adding customers with this expansion, so the demands for parking will not increase. In fact, 4 or 5 of their existing trucks will fit inside of this new space, will actually lower the demand on the existing spots. We talked about the potentials for, if there's a variance that's approved, it sticks with the building in perpetuity. They understand and respect that. They have no plans for leaving. We talked about snow, where does it go? And they have places both on grass and behind dumpster so that snow removal does not impact existing spaces. So it seems to me that this is a reasonable request, and I'm agreeing with it.
How many spots are there right now?
So I counted 36 on site. I counted 45 in the engineering drawings. The application says 46. So there's a discrepancy of just one count on the engineering drawings. Neither of the economides were aware of that, so we can ask the architect who will be here tonight.
So you're saying generally thumbs up.
Yes.
I'm going clockwise. Jesse?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, when I first read this over and I visited the site, it looked like a pretty reasonable idea to me in terms of the expansion. I don't think it's a very significant variance. And based off the context that Tim just provided, I would say I have no objections.
Okay. No objections.
I'm good.
Don't
Christian?
have any objections. I would like to see possibly some land banking if possible, just in case, because I mean, they say they're not going to move out, but then
You don't
they're
know.
not going to move out until they move out, you know.
Right.
It's still something that it goes with the property in perpetuity. So I mean, it is actually, is it like a 25% or a little bit more than that reduction overall from the 59 that are required?
Somewhat substantial.
It is somewhat substantial, yeah. So it is something that even though they're not using it right now, that can change. So it's something that if they don't want to have that many spaces, but if there's a way, I'm just looking around to see if any, don't eat into too much green space, but if there's any way to maybe be able to add them in the future if need be, or have a contingency if there is a need in the future, I would prefer to have that.
Yes, and I spoke to the owners about the idea of a land bank, you know, where could you expand in the future? And the answer was there really isn't space. The parcel really doesn't have room, especially after the 8 additional ones that they are adding with this expansion. It's tight.
I agree with that, looking at
Yeah, it
this.
is.
So good questions to ask. I think this will just be good information to hear from them. And Heather, general,
General consensus, I'm fine with this.
Okay.
When I was looking at this though, so there's the 16 at the top, there's 13 and then 8. When I calculate that, that's only 35.
that's what it is today, though.
Okay,
There's page 2.
Right,
is the
page,
next-
Oh, okay.
page C2, which is the second of the architectural drawings, has the, all the proposed components.
-1.
minus the one, if I counted that correctly, and I,
Oh, yeah, now, yeah, okay.
yeah, so over on the top right are where the new 8 spots are going.
So good questions to ask them. I think it's worthwhile to understand it before we vote or anything, but it's good to understand it. It feels
Yeah.
favorable right now. Thank you. John, you're the next one. We got a small,
Little driveway bump out. I was over there. There's really no way that they can do it any other, different way. I've got no issues with it.
good with it, Christian?
Yeah, I'm good with it. There's kind of difficult being a lot with that kind of frontage. It's, pinched in, so
They're stuck.
there's stuff, yeah, but it's not for the entire driveway, so I'm okay with it.
Heather?
I'm opposed to it as well.
Tim?
Does it matter to us what the intention is for the addition of that driveway? Is that relevant to us? Are they going to park an RV there, or is that?
Everything's relevant to us, and I think you have, we asked, we're doing the straw poll, not having all of us having the interaction with them. I think it's valid to ask that question, and I think it's something that you should feel comfortable asking and making your decision based on how they respond.
Okay. I'm in favor of it. It seems reasonable, and there's nowhere else for them to go, and it's only half the driveway that requires that variance.
There's other people on that street that have the bump out on there too.
Good, thank you. Jesse?
Yeah, Tim, I had the same question, so I'm happy for you to ask that because I'd like to hear the answer as well. But in general, I agree with what John said. I don't see a feasible alternative as I drove by the site, so I have no objections. It's a minor variance.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. Great, so that's all, I mean, it should be, in theory, this should be a reasonably short meeting tonight. That's the goal. Welcome. You are the only ones that will be here as participants in the audience. So since that's the case, I'd be happy to ask you to sit at the table here. And I'd ask you to also sign in onto the sign-in sheet if you're going to be speaking, which I assume you will. Yeah, but we can't do it for another 5 or 10. Oh, I still want to say live while we're
Okay,
talking about this.
Mr. Kenny?
So the other things for the workshop, which I started to say earlier, I'd love to get your ideas on signage changes that we're doing. Please email me because I don't remember stuff short term. Christian can account for this. And I just want to, I don't need you to give me the answer of what it needs to look like. Just give me the idea. Because we'll be talking with Don and Steve and Kevin and others. We'll get it written up, but the ideas are important. Think about all of them. Lit up signs, anything flashing, size, spacing out of signs, with the multiple words being different signs today. Stuff like that. Think about all of those things. Oh, directional signs inside of a parking lot, all that stuff. And by the way, just because we say it doesn't mean that gets adopted, but it's the idea.
What's the proposed that they have, that they're leading to now?
The whole section will be redrawn.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, it is we're going to be drawing off of some of the old stuff, but it's effectively going to be from scratch. It's at least the theory right now. We'll see if that doesn't change.
Is Rick Page on it again this year?
Say it again. I
Rick
couldn't-
Page on the committee again this year?
To my knowledge, the answer is no, but I could be proven wrong. And then the other thing that I'll bring up, I think this, moving forward, we're going to use that document that I created with Steve and with Heather and some others and everybody's input here. I'd like to use it for a couple of months. And I'd like to ask the residents who see this document their feedback. If they read it, if so, great, what they think. If not, why? It'll probably be too long, which I think is a concern. In which case I'll have to figure out how to rewrite that. But I think it's a good step. And I want people to understand what they're going through when they come here and what those next steps are. I don't want to give them every detail, but enough so they feel comfortable. Because I think that's one of the biggest things that makes me uncomfortable when they feel like they're hanging for what's the next step. So that is my intent. And I think we'll see how it rolls and make adjustments. There's no set in stone. I don't have to do it for 4 years. It's, we can change it next week if we need to. But I'd like to give it a little bit of a chance to see what type of feedback we get. Any other topics while we're 4.5 minutes away? All right. Heather, if you can hear me, I think we can close up the workshop.
Consider it done.
Awesome. Thank you.